Okay, why don't we get started? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people online. So welcome to the folks online, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, about 18 people in the room. So a nice turnout. My name is Mike Morrow. I'm the president of the St. John Center of the RESC, and welcome to the first meeting. We meet the third Wednesday of every month here or online. And I think we have one new member that I can see online, and that's Scott Hounsell. So welcome, Scott. Nice to see you online, or at least see the little box with your name in it online. And we have a couple visitors, Nolan Kirk, who's Patton.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the first names right?
That's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. And so they've got telescopes and they're interested in learning more about it. And I'll just mention a couple people that are here. Gary Diamond's past president, Randy Dodge is the secretary, Chris Stevenson is the equipment person, Robert Babbs the observing director. So those are some of the executive members that are here. And online we've got Doug Rushi and Craig Peterman. Craig's the webmaster, and Doug does audit stuff and other things. And Marcellus is the national council rep. He's online. And Jim Johnson is in Texas, so he's not online. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to start with an acknowledgement, as we always do. We respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We would also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatuavut, and the Innu of Nutasknan and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. So before we get started, I hope people saw the message that Randy sent out, that the arrangements that we normally have for Lot 5, I was a little late getting started on that because I was away until the beginning of this week. And when I sent the email to the parking office, I got back an acknowledgement saying, this is our busy time. We'll answer the emails when we get to it. So I don't know. They're always pretty good. I think they know about us, but that's why Randy sent out the warning about that. And that should be sorted out by next month. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like, we're not allowed to park anywhere outside?
You want to, yeah, you might be taking a chance. The arrangement we have is Lot 5 now, which is behind this building.
Is that the quad? Like the building that you drive underneath?
No, that's the science building.
Well, on ground isn't everything.
Well, maybe not. I don't know how busy they are right now. It's the first couple weeks, so
yeah. Good
luck.
We'll be my first.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
And so, okay. So we do have some visitors, so I want to welcome the visitors. I already have a little bit, point out that there are benefits. The meetings are always open to everybody. You don't have to be a member to come to the meetings, and we welcome people to come. But if you become an RESC member, then we're pretty supportive, even if you're not a member. But you become part of a supportive community. And one of the real benefits is that we have this RESC NL talk, where people can share observation reports, discuss what they're looking at, sort of alerts if something interesting is happening. A lot of mentorship there. So you have to be a member to join that. And if you become a member, you just contact Randy and ask him to set you up, and he'll set you up on that. If you're a member, you get the RESC journal online for free. You have to pay for paper. The Observer's Handbook, We have low-cost equipment rentals, which Chris takes care of. You know, $10 and you can keep it till somebody else wants it. Normally for a month, but we're happy if it's somewhere else. And there is a way to join at the RESC site. There's a bulletin that if you're a member, you get the monthly bulletin automatically. You also get the weekly newsletter, but you can get the weekly newsletter even if you're not a member, I think. And so I put together another visitor. There's a crane fly or something. Anyways, I put together all of our observation reports from last year, and Gary arranged for them to be shown as a slideshow at the Geo Center. So that's been running, and we've used them at a couple of outreach events as well. So that's something, if you're at the Geo Center, they're there somewhere, right?
Science section. They're in the space section.
Space
The
section.
whole corner.
Okay, and our next meeting is October 16th. That's going to be the annual general meeting. We're going to have the election. We're looking for new executive members, and so you should think about getting involved. There aren't particular qualifications needed other than some enthusiasm and some tolerance. And with that, I'm going to invite Randy to come down and say a little bit about opportunities on the executive and what some of the roles are. So I'll chatter away inanely for a few seconds here while Randy makes his way to the front. Fill up the radio silence. And he's almost here.
Have this thing on?
You can, but I don't think that'll be shared.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay.
Hello. Anybody not know me?
This is Randy.
The executive list is on our webpage under local council. By REC charter, we're required to have certain positions: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Other than that, they're all optional and whatever our constitution says we can do. You never know what's here, what camera's what. No, I can't see anything. Okay, so take note of this email: info@stjohnsresc.ca. You can write to me in confidence, and I'll explain any part of what we're up to about it. Normally what we do is we try and prepare a slate of people for the election next month. In the past, we've noted that if you have an open call at the meeting, you don't get anybody and people don't show up. So it's better to have a slate, and at least we have our executive positions filled. So obviously the president's position is to steer the club and be the interface at times to the National Council on certain things. We have a National Council representative who fulfills that role as well. If you have any issues with the organization of the RESC, contact Marcellus. Otherwise, vice president is a stand-in if the president is not here. It's also open for us to assign any duties we'd like to that position. In a lot of organizations, the vice president is the next in line. They may not know it, but right. So, and some places have first vice president, second vice president, and they just come up the roles at the AGM. Secretary is me. On paper, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Everything, yeah. Contacting the membership, arranging various things, and these days I record the videos and all that stuff. So treasurer, obviously treasurer position is I guess self-explanatory. Of late, we've also been appointing an auditor to check on the treasurer's position to make sure he's doing his job correctly. We both, myself and Jim, the treasurer, interact with National on a financial basis. All of the membership dues and payments and stuff are handled at the national level. We don't handle cash except for center activities like mugs and calendars and things. So other than those, all the rest of the positions are things that we've done over the years. Some of them are soft roles, some are more active. So we have an equipment director, Chris, maintains our equipment, and on paper is supposed to help out with the observatory, I think, too, right?
Well,
Yeah, we'll get you into that. The library is over there, such as it is. Please take it. So we have a role called librarian. So that's what I call a soft role. National Council rep, I mentioned, observing director, Robert, supposed to arrange for observing sessions and liaise with people on observing and this sorts of things. Robert's also vice president this year. A past president is an automatic role. President becomes past president when replaced. Webmaster Craig maintains the web space and these sorts of things. We also have a position on our constitution called membership. That role was supposed to be interfacing with members on any issues they might have. And welcoming new members. Again, I'd call it a soft role. All of these roles are meant to be collegial and help direct the center and the center's activities. There's nothing really secret about. We have about an hour-long executive meeting on the first Wednesday of the month. Then we have this meeting. So, it's not a whole lot of activity.
And the executive meeting is by Zoom.
By Zoom. If any of you are keenly interested and would like to participate in a executive meeting, we can invite you to attend. As long as you don't vote for anything. Other than that, said the meeting next month is where we do our reports and election of officers. Hopefully we'll have a slate of people who've been nominated. You can nominate at the meeting. If you are interested, please contact me. I don't know
Even
that.
if you're curious.
Even if you're curious, yeah. If I can explain more of the roles if you'd like. Sometimes we call these roles directors. In our constitution, they're called directors of a council. If you're afraid of any repercussions, we have directors insurance. So we're covered for lawsuits, these sorts of things. So if that is any impediment to you. An executive role is also great on a resume if you're coming up through the roles and ranks. Nice to have something on your resume. So, any questions?
You get off. Out of order.
It's exciting.
We're not undifferent than most places these days. It's very hard to get people to own up. Yeah. We're not much different than most councils and executives. A lot of places you can't get off the executive till you bring someone on. So if you have someone who you think might be interested, let us know. So,
or if you're interested.
yep, like I said, contact me in confidence. I won't flirt anything about you.
Okay, the next we're gonna have a little mini talk about something that we hope is gonna be very exciting next month. And
Very many, but
so Chris is gonna tell you about this.
so I started.
Yeah, maybe stand over and
Mike said 15 minutes, then lots and lots of slides. As the number of slides grew, the time for the talk shrank, and they said 5 minutes. But I think what Mike is thinking is the universe is 5 minutes is.
sorry, what? Oh, hang on, okay. How's that? Okay, so much.
All right. Okay. Yeah, my 5 minutes is, sorry, the universe is 5 minutes is my 10 or 15 minutes, so 5 minutes is good because this will probably be 10 or 15 minutes, and see, it's already more than 5 minutes. There you go. Okay, so, a bit of a,
Welcome to Phil.
yes, we have a long time member, and in fact, if you look at your guide, Phil wrote the section on meteors, isn't it? In the Observer handbook.
Yeah, fireballs.
Yeah, fireballs, that's right. So Phil's been in the center since basically there's been a center. Well, okay, fine. Well, as long as I've been in the center, so closing in on half a century. No, that's whatever. But a long time. So a well-known center member. Thank you, Phil. Welcome back. And so a bit of astronomy. Largely, I mentioned this because this is going to happen before the next meeting. So this is the time to hype it. Comets come and go, and sometimes there's lots and lots of hype all over the media, and then they're a bust. And the last, who remembers Comet ISON? ISON, yes.
Really hoping about 110.
And it passed too close to the sun and basically was blown to smithereens by tidal forces and light pressure and so on, and it came out the other side in shards and wasn't much of a show at all. It was predicted to be huge. And then there are other comets which were photogenic, and for people who are interested, they're always photogenic and of interest. For the bulk, for the lay public, something has to be knock your socks off. This is one of those comets that maybe knock your socks off, even though originally it didn't look like it might be. So I'm talking about Comet Chuchinshan Atlas, or just Comet C2023A3. So it was discovered in early 2023 at the Purple Mountain Observatory in China. And then it was forgotten about, and it was rediscovered by the Atlas robotic. Let's look for things that are going to hit us, I believe, whatever. And they ran the numbers. No, it's the same object. So they gave both names to the discoverer, to the comet. And this may be a big deal in October, next month, in the early part of the month, the early mid part of the month. It's in the inner solar system right now. It was discovered when it was out around Uranus and Neptune last year, and it was so in brightness. Are these links hot?
Yeah, but that may not be.
Okay.
That's the problem with, you've clicked it a couple times or?
Just once.
Okay, so Randy, can you make sure that we might have to reshare the screen?
Oh, I can just drag it, then it's fine.
But I don't know if that's being shared right now. Is it being shared? Okay. So okay, so where did? Okay, so now I need to share.
That one.
Okay, so
all right.
You have to fool around with the
Okay,
sharing.
and yeah, okay, so there are already articles all over the internet, and anyway, even in CTV News now. Person I used to work with at York University, Paul Delaney, is the one that's on the hook for interviews out there, and he talked about this. And so I like Sky and Telescope, and they came up with an article just after discovery. This is not the comet that we're talking about, which I'll call A3. This is comet ZTF, which I think is the Zwicky Transient Factory, I think. We're discovering new things in the sky. That was pretty good. Obviously, it looks rather photogenic. But the buzz in March of last year was this new comet, because predictions had it might actually get deep into the inner solar system, and it seemed to be pretty big because it was bright early on, fairly bright early on. And that means it might be dusty, and when you have dusty comets getting near the sun, depending on the geometry, they can become very bright. So it was a discovery image, and it wasn't much at all. This is February of 2023, so almost 2 years ago. Purple Mountain Observatory, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. Last Alert. I love that. This run and take cover. There's a comet coming. I think the timing of this is great. 1 month before a certain election. So here's a graph of predicted brightnesses, and you can see that right about October of 2024, this red curve peaks at about a magnitude of +1. The star Vega, straight overhead. I've been doing this all day. The right letter, wrong word. The star Vega, which is right overhead when it gets dark, right about this time of year. If you're outside, you're looking up. Good luck. The weather is supposed to be the pits the next at least 10 days. But anyway, that's magnitude 0. And every magnitude smaller is a factor of 2.5 times in brightness. So magnitude 1 is 2.5 times fainter than Vega. Okay, and that's the integrated brightness. You take all the light from the comet and squish it down to a point. Okay, but then there's this green point, this green thing on top of this. And that's a cautious estimate for what happens when you get a phenomenon called forward scattering happening because of all the dust. This is the article from last year. Here's a preliminary orbit. You can see it's a retrograde orbit, so it orbits the sun in the opposite sense of the planets. It's at a steep angle to the ecliptic, which is the plane of all planets in the solar system. And it's going. So this is its first time visiting from what's called the Oort cloud, which is 10,000 times the size of the Earth's orbit. Large. It's its first time in from the frigid outer regions of the Oort cloud. So who knows what's going to happen when the sun starts to bake it and things start to boil off. But there are already some pretty good signs now, a year later. Here's a map of what's probably going to happen. We know the orbit pretty well now, so it'll pass closest to the sun around the end of September, around the 20th of September. And then start coming back up and out. It'll pass closest to us, Earth, on the 9th of October. I mentioned Comet Ison earlier. Ison passed only about 1 million kilometers away from the sun. It sounds like a lot, but the sun's 1.4 million kilometers across, and it's way too close. Of course it got destroyed. This thing isn't getting any closer than 58 million. It'll survive. It's big, but it'll survive. So it's coming out the other side. And here's where you'll see it in the sky. Here's something else I'll mention. This is Corona Borealis, right here, where the little hand pointer is. The brightest star in Corona Borealis is Alphecca. There's a star we're all looking at called T Corona Borealis, right where the finger is pointing. And it's supposed to go nova any day. It might have already gone nova today. Sorry?
You keep promising.
Yeah, but we're towards the end of the prediction window. It really is any minute. It probably already has, right? Just to make a fool out of me. So you will be wanting to look here anyway on a day-to-day basis, but just look underneath it in this area for the comet too. This is low to the horizon. Get yourself somewhere elevated where you can see the horizon low, west, northwest, horizon, middle of October to the end. So yeah, faint, et cetera, et cetera. So what's this forward scattering stuff? I think maybe the next article has a better examination of it. So I'm going to skip to the next one. Can I go backwards? I just wanted to click on something, but can I go back? Oh, okay. That's easy. Sorry.
Yeah. Randy, did this one come up or do we need to share again?
Yeah, it should be fine.
Okay.
So only last week, Sky and Telescope came with an update. Now in the middle of between this article and the last article and this article, I think Czech astronomer came up with a Rain on Your Parade article that said the comet's it is falling apart. It's getting faint. Don't expect anything out of this. And we'll just mention that in passing. New evidence indicates it's fine. It's brightening and it's going to be dusty. It's optimistic. So Terry Lovejoy, who's a 6-time comet discoverer, recently photographed the comet in the twilight sky. So there it is on the 12th, like this is last week. And it's supposed to brighten up a lot. And here's why. It's a dusty comet. And there's something about it, like here we are, here's the sun, here's us looking at the comet. And this angle here, it's called the phase angle. And as that approaches 180 degrees, basically as you're looking at, well, just go outside at night and look at a street light, and then put your hand up next to the street light, and you'll see all the flies buzzing around it in the summertime. Forward scattering makes anything cloak grazing incidents to looking towards the light but not actually seeing light very bright. It's like the light just bounces off in the direction and it favorably is redirected back to you. So here's a person's exhaled breath in the wintertime, no problem. Here's the moon Enceladus, backlit by the sun as seen by Cassini, and you can see the geysers coming from the liquid water under the ice. You wouldn't be able to see that. It's far too subtle to look at that directly, but for forward scattering, it makes things many, many times brighter. So here's a table followed by the name of Marcus. I don't have time to look up his last name. Marcus, good our friend Marcus, did some cautious calculations, and the brightness enhancement magnitude, as much as almost 7 magnitudes brighter because of the dust. So we pile that on top of baseline estimates of maximum brightness of about 2 now, and we get minus 4.8, way brighter than Venus even. That's bright enough to see in the daytime sky. And we've had another comet in 2007, Comet McNaught was bright enough to see in the daytime sky. There it is. And here's what McNaught looked like in the evening sky, right? So this might be another McNaught, or it might not be another McNaught. These things are entirely predictable. This is his first time into the inner solar system, so who knows what, but at the very least, it'll be photogenic. So we cross your fingers that we get clear skies, and get out somewhere where you can see the west and northern horizon with your cameras or binoculars or good old eyeballs. And there's my 5 minutes that became 10 or 15. Thank you. Oh yeah, questions quickly? Any questions?
I was just reading the same article.
Yeah.
And it's talking about magnitudes of minus 6.9.
Yeah, that's the enhancement. That's the forward scattering makes it almost 7 magnitudes brighter. So the minus sign is brighter. Got a lot of magnitudes. Yes.
There's pictures already this morning of better pictures.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah, trying to find something close.
Yeah, so this is rapidly evolving. So actually, at the very end of before, like September 20th, I think it's gonna be raining here. There is an opportunity, very brief, in the early morning sky to catch it just before it dips below the horizon to go past the sun and come back up in the evening. Yes. Excellent. That's right. Right. Okay. Well, yeah, definitely look that one up. So we want more photographs locally of this comet. Yes.
Does anybody know about the dust production yet, or how variable it is?
Nothing about
New object.
nothing that I've read about variability. All we know is it's. Oh, there's one other little thing about comets, first time comets. Often, and I never mentioned anything about times either. We do know it's dusty. We do know there's very little subsurface carbon monoxide. That often boils off early after detection or out in the colder parts of the solar system and makes the comet look bright prematurely almost for a first time visit. That hasn't happened for this one. It wasn't as bright starting out. So we're kind of head scratching. Why not? Has this thing actually been in the other solar system before? Current model projections have it maybe returning in 80,000 years. So maybe it was here 100,000 years ago. I'm way over limit. Any more questions?
Randy's giving me signs.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do. Okay, need to find participants. Randy's. Okay. Now I will unshare that and then reshare. That one, so hopefully that's good. Oh, and
Oh, yeah, there are,
Chris didn't, this gonna be the other 15 minutes Chris's talk.
no. This is online, so people can look at it afterwards. There are videos of plenty. There's one from SOL, or SOU or whatever.
Secrets of the Universe.
Secrets of, a lot of these are dodgy, new agey things and AI driven and so on. So that one, despite the AI track, I thought was pretty good. It got most of the details right, but there's so many of them.
Yep,
Have a
so have a look, and if things start happening, there'll be lots of chatter on RSCNL talk, I'm sure, so.
How the rain's coming.
Yeah. Out of order. So the next thing I'm gonna do, or we're gonna do, is do a recap of some of the public observing over the summer. There was an Observe the Moon in July where nobody observed the moon. The Butterpot Star Party, the TerraNova Sky Celebration, and International Observe the Moon Night last weekend. I was away for that, but it was probably one of the best events we've had. So the first one, there's not much to say. It got shifted from Saturday to Sunday, but we didn't really get the word out. So, and you can see the sky wasn't that great, so we didn't have very many visitors. So I'm going to invite Robert to come up and talk about the Butterpot Star Party. Maybe we can do that and then jump to last weekend's, and then I'll come back and maybe get Doug. I guess I'll do the clicking while Doug speaks about TerraNova. So,
Well, I'm off too, if you wish.
well, just go through it.
Yeah,
There
okay.
you are.
Hi, everyone. So, yeah, we Mike said our first observed the moon didn't pan out all that well. Didn't get much publicity through the media, and just to show how important that is, we had very few people at our first observed the moon, but our second observed the moon, we were just blanketed. The whole parking lot was alive. So it's just goes to show, if the word gets out, there's plenty of interest in astronomy. So our star party at Butterpot Provincial Park, August 9th to 10th, we had our usual slate that we hoped for. And we did have some solar viewing. I think you, Mike, had some that day, I think, right? And maybe Randy. And I'm not sure, Gary, if you were
That was
there.
actually on the Friday.
That was on the Friday, yeah. And so because we have to plug a date, right, for a venue like Butterpot Park or TerraNova Park, you just can't say, we'll come out when it clears, right? Which is an unfortunate thing, but so we got hit with clouds, right? The sky wasn't very good, but we could see some things up through the sky that night, and some people came down from their campsites, and we were able to engage them. But by and large, observational astronomy requiring a clear sky is just so important. But we keep trying, and through having enough events, sometimes we win and win big, like the last Observe the Moon. So here was our schedule for that star party, and where it is in the park. And there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it out there or not. Seems to be a corona around the sun, and that would be ice crystals refracting in the sunlight. I think at about 22.5 degrees or something, somewhere around that, I believe. Right, and a few of our members there, and some people wishfully looking up. And a few people kicking around, but as you can see, not a lot of people there, but I mean, that's it. You gotta have the sky, right? And we had ourselves set up there. That's Randy. There's a beautiful, if you can call clouds nice from an astronomer's point of view, those are pretty nice. And there's a planetarium program being run there to show some folks things that you can see in the sky. And again, another shot. You can see some stars here. I don't know if you can see it out there or not. The clouds were rather thin at that point, but so you could make out some stars. So we were very hopeful that we're going to get some clarity.
Anybody see any meteors?
No, I don't think so. Did you?
Did you hear it? Yeah. Actually. Yeah, you're right.
Was that was later in the evening? Was that around 12 midnight or something? I think. Yeah, because the Perseids were on then,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah. So it would have been nice had we been a bit luckier with the sky. So it was a lot more. But we did see some things, and we did entertain some people and ourselves to an extent. And
so we skipped Saturday, and so these pictures are from Sunday.
yeah, from Sunday, yeah, we went back out. Yeah. So it does help to, if you can, at some of these events, have like a rain date. We try that from when we can, time to time, because it gives us an extra opportunity, you know, should the following night or the previous night be clear, right? As was the case at our last star party.
Okay, so why don't I skip through the,
Yep.
that, and you just stay up here and we'll do the, and then we'll come back to this one. So nobody look. There we are. Okay. So why don't you go through, this is.
Yeah.
Weekend.
I observed the moon on the Friday night at the Johnson Geo Center. And as we began the evening, we had 9 telescopes and about a dozen or 13 members. And there were hundreds of people. It was like a carnival setting. And why was that? Well, partly because, you know, anyone who had heard it and looked up could see that the sky was relatively clear. And it was carried very well by the media outlets like the CBC and BFCM, etc. And that makes a lot of difference because, as I said, you know, a lot of people will come if it looks like there's a clear sky and the weather is civil and the word gets out. So it's such an important thing, and sometimes we don't perhaps work that angle a little more to get some more people out. So we had the moon, Saturn, M13, M31. For those who don't know what the M's are, those are just classification and number system for deep sky objects you can't see with the naked eye that are for the most part residing in the galaxy, as in like nebulas and star clusters. And outside of our galaxy we can see some of the other galaxies, right? And Comet 13P, I don't know who was it saw the comet. Randy. Yeah, I wasn't on the comet that night. I didn't even think about the comet. But I was focused on, pardon the pun, M27 Dumbbell Nebula, and I had my scope set up with my astrophotography equipment, and so I was displaying that object on a screen. And the beauty that I find in that is that because it's taken photographically, you can actually see color, you know, versus if you look through the eyepiece, normally you're not going to catch the color because your eye doesn't have the sensitivity, and certainly cannot collect light over a period of time like a camera can. But then you lose something too. You lose the beauty of having the photons borrow a hole right into your brain. And it definitely has an effect if you can catch that, right? So there's always trade-offs, pluses and minuses, right? And I had a lot of people, like, they would be filled with, 10,000 questions about, what is that, and where is it, how far away is it, what created it, et cetera, et cetera. And engaging people like that is fun and rewarding. There's no doubt about it. And that's why we do it. That's why we do these things. I should go on because I don't want to hang up too long on it. So some more pics of a few people. These will be early shots. I don't think we have any of when the parking lot was full because then it was dark. And
I think there might be one at the end.
okay, yeah, and I often say, like, we should have our, I mean, all of us that are into any photographic piece of astronomy would have the ability to be able to take pictures in the dark. But if you're tending your scope, you're busy. So I often think that we should have a new position called photographer for our sessions.
Well, Craig does that quite.
Yes,
As you can tell.
yes,
That's a really great picture of the cube.
Yeah.
yes. Yes, it is. Classic.
Throw the pink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of the telescopes the group owns.
Yeah, no, the one on the right is mine, and in fact, I know this guy, his name's Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Sang with him in Minspar for years. But, sweet kid.
Yeah. The other scope, the Black Beauty there,
Yeah,
that's a center scope, yeah.
It's Tim's home.
Mhm.
And starting to darken and people are starting to arrive en masse.
There are about 56 people in one, this one on the right.
Yeah.
Ready?
You may notice in some of those pictures, people have copies of the almanac.
Oh, yes, we're handing those out
We
too.
were
Yeah.
gifted 200 copies of the 2024 RASC.
It must have been 250 because there were 5 boxes.
Okay, well, we got rid of them anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
You both have them.
We gave away about 100 in TerraNova. Okay, so,
By the way, that observed the moon night last week was, I think, the first time we've set a rain date on the initial announcement.
yeah, we should do that all the time now.
Okay, Doug, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so people, let's see, I wonder if I can take speaker view and then, so Doug is our, Randy, is Doug visible on? Okay, so Doug is the chair of our Light Pollution Abatement Committee and which was, and the TerraNova National Park became a dark sky preserve with the help of the Light Pollution Abatement Committee and the Dark Sky Preserve Committee subcommittee 2018-ish. And so Doug's involved in liaising with people at TerraNova. So some of us went there the end of August. So Doug, why don't you take it away and speak loudly so we can hear you.
Certainly. Well, hi, everyone. And so, yes, regarding the Light Pollution Abatement Committee, I'm not the person that actually brought about this development where the TerraNova National Park became a dark sky preserve. That was left to other people who did a lot of hard work, Dave Newberry for one, and other people whose names escape me now. Just didn't think about it earlier.
Jerry Ennis, I think.
Jerry Ennis, the instigator, I guess, along with I think Chris Stevenson was involved in it early on as well. But I'm more of a maintainer than the instigator. And anyways, so I was out there in the spring to do a audit of all the lighting out there, and they've made some great improvements. There's more to be done, and every year we had this night sky celebration. It happened on Friday, August 23rd, Saturday, August 24th, and then Sunday is an optional day, which we took full advantage of. Here you see the schedule. And one thing you might note there that there was on the far right, down below, there's a night sky inspired art exhibit. I went and checked that out. That was fabulous. They had all kinds of art with images of aurora and stars, and it was quite nice, actually. It was very well done. And one of the artists was Kathy Sweetapple, who is a park employee and a great artist.
And
Let's move on to.
the images were highlighted with glow in the dark paint.
I didn't notice that. That's another. Yeah, there was a park after dark self-guided walk, and that's where you had the glow in the dark.
That was different. Yeah, that was a different
Yeah.
part. Yeah, okay, sorry about that.
I didn't get a chance to go to that one. Did anyone in the room get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I saw it, but
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So the very first event was Friday, August 23rd at the Activity Center. Normally about 40 to 80 people attend. It was a cloudy night, so we didn't get any outdoor observing done. And there were presentations inside and crafts for children as well. In the image you can see here is Alain, who is the mascot for light pollution abatement. And Alain is actually the antagonist. As you can see, look at all the light coming out of his head there. And the park actually made up this suit. Kathy Sweetapple and Dave Saunders. As you can see, Dave is doing a presentation there. It's tremendous. It's a marvelous mascot and suit. It really is. And if you look to the right, you can also see that the park has a demonstration of light pollution and the types of the color temperatures of light. So if you look to the three dots on the left, you have a 5,000 Kelvin light in the box there. And in the middle, you have 2,700 and 2,200. So you can see they go from a blue, white to an orange from left to right. And that's an interactive display that you can turn on and off. So it's a nice thing there. Can we go to the next slide? Well, I should mention that there's normally 40 to 80 people in this, and this is more of the activity center activities that took place at between 8 and 10 p.m. on Friday. So we had about 50 people there. It was a cloudy night, normally about 40 to 80. And you can see that some of our volunteers are there. There's Mike, and in the back there in the orange shirt is Richard Lambert. And some of our almanacs are displayed there on the table as well. So that was our Friday night. Normally we have outdoor activities, but cloudy, couldn't do it. Inside was successful though. Let's move to the next slide. This is Saturday morning at the visitor center, and solar viewing was on the go there. So we have a couple of 3 solar telescopes out, 2 PSTs, and looks like Gary's telescope there. I'm not sure what that one is. And as you can see, I'm pointing towards where the sun would be had there been not so much cloud. In the meantime, while it was cloudy, we got about 65 to 70 participants there. We had a very extended period of time. Normally it's maybe a couple hours. We went from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Got about 60 to 65 to 70 people. Normally it's a 50 to 40 number of people attending. Chris Stevenson bravely did the solar hike, and he got, you know how in the solar system there's always this search for water. Well, Chris didn't even get to the asteroid belt before he was deluged with it. And so not that far. So Chris had about 20 participants there. He remounted it later in the afternoon with 3 returnees and successfully got it off later on. So we were challenged with the weather.
There were actually funnel cloud warnings while this was going on.
Yes, I would have preferred funnel cake warnings. Maybe Randy has them for coffee. Moving on to Saturday night at Sandy Pond. 9 to 11 p.m. is the usual time. We normally get about 150 to 200 participants. This year we had 20. The clouds were threatening, and the weather forecast was hopeful. We were thinking we might get the clouds to break by about 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
And
Unfortunately,
you could see that it was starting to look like it might clear.
yes, and me being the eternal optimist would have thought it would have. And it was disappointing. We were all set up, and the clouds just opened up on beautiful telescopes. Up to this point in time, I don't know that any telescopes were permanently harmed by the deluge. I went and got an umbrella, and then the lightning started to come around. So I said, "Okay, no, this is not safe." So we had to pack up. Yeah, that was disappointing. But still, 20 people came out, even with the threatening clouds. So with Saturday night at Sandy Pond, we were totally shut out of nighttime viewing, and our success for this weekend was mainly solar. So here we are now, Sunday morning, and if you could blow up this picture, you could see that Gary is being threatened by 2 supernovas, and that's the supernova T-shirts from the 2019 Supernova Star Party that Dave Newberry organized. And Gary is using one of the PST from the park, actually. The park has their own PST, and they also have 2 8-inch Dobsonians. So nice telescopes there. On Sunday morning, we did extended hours again. We went from 9:30 to 2:30 p.m. And we had about 40 to 50, 45, I think, participants. Normally 40 to 50. So with the extended hours, we were able to get a lot of people through onto our scopes there. And my role in that, I didn't bring a telescope to that, so I'm more of like a foghorn leghorn kind of guy. I'll just go out there and find everyone and herd them into the telescopes. And a few times, actually, I herded people in who I didn't recognize. I think Chris's wife Sandra was out there, and I herded her down to the telescope. Yeah, I did it once to Robert's wife too, and she was out there. So that was our Sunday morning, and after that, then we packed up, and left. So that's basically
the moon was up on Sunday for a bit, so Doug was showing people the moon with one of the dolls.
Yeah, that was fun actually. We took out the park's 8-inch Dobsonians, which were caught in the rain, and dried them out. And yeah, I got some nice daytime viewing of the moon. And there was a plane passing by overhead, managed to score that with a person looking through the telescope as well, which was quite fun. We had 7 volunteers, which was a nice number. Mike, Gary, Robert, Chris, Jim Stacy, and Richard Lambert, and myself. So that was this year. This year there were no COVID protocols. I don't think there was any last year as well. I wasn't attending last year. So it was just a completely normal event, aside from the getting shut out of the nighttime events, which was completely unusual. Normally, if we have one bad night, we get a good one the next. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug. I noticed that I was recycling the headers from last year. So the dates, it wasn't August 26th, 27th, it was 23rd, 25th, whatever. Anyways, thanks a lot, Doug. I'm going to slide you out of the way there. And so now I'm going to go to the observations over the summer. So this is a slightly extended member observation session, but there are lots of nice images posted. So I harvest these from RASC NL Talk. A few get sent other ways, but mostly that way. And can you see everything's good? So I start out with solar images over the summer, and people who are watching last year will be familiar with this. We'll see lots of images from sea stars, which are the little smart telescopes, which we've got at least 5 or 6 now in the group, and people are learning how to use them. They're pretty impressive. So we're getting into a lot of solar activity. So people had a lot of fun with the sun this year. So this is from Randy, the end of June with Sea Star. Robert, this is with just a white light filter on his telescope. Lots of sunspots. Gary with a Sea Star July, a little bit quieter. So this is using a PST with a little ZWO camera in the eyepiece holder. So that's an H alpha scope, so you can see some prominences. So this is getting into August. So I do this by doing like a 10-second video and then stacking it. We already saw this.
you.